Hi, I'm Harper with Life with Leverage, and we coach you on the infinite banking concept and how you can become your own banker. Today, we're going to go to a book called Becoming Your Own Banker, written by Nelson Nash. He's the one who had discovered and created infinite banking concept decades ago. If you've not read his book, Becoming Your Own Banker, I highly suggest you do. Make sure you have an open mind, and when you're going through it, you're really going to shift your perspective on life and thinking about finance and specifically how insurance works and the flow of money. With that said, we're going to dive into the Kindle version of his book. And in chapter 5, Nelson's talking about creating a bank like the ones you already know about. As we go to my screen here, I'm going to read some of the paragraphs and sentences, then elaborate some on it. If you're going to create a bank like the ones you already know about, there are a number of steps you must go through. Like the grocery business we discussed earlier, you must first study the business so that you have a firm grip on what it is all about and feel that you can run such a business. Without this confidence, you are fighting a lost cause. It's a jungle out there. Next, you must get some capital, i.e. money. The grocery business he is referencing is a handful of chapters previously, and when you read the book, you can go through it, and I'd recommend rereading that a few times. On the next page here in chapter 5, in his book Paper Money, author Adam Smith has this to say. Nelson is quoting Adam Smith's book Paper Money in this scenario. A banker cannot make a loan unless he has a deposit. Seems a little silly to state that so baldly, but if 3 college-educated Americans in 10 don't know that we have to import oil, I don't feel so bad about saying something bald. Banks do not lend their money, they lend the money somebody else has left there. Later on in the book, he goes on to explain. When you start up a bank, you have to put in some capital. Then you get some deposits, and then you lend the deposits. This is how banking works. Remember this, because in the banking system I'm going to tell you about, you can also destroy it by not obeying the basic rules of banking. Loans have to be paid back, or you can kill the best business in the world. It's up to you, but don't try to blame others when it happens. You must admit that getting into the business this way is very costly and time-consuming. It will be a long time before you show a profit, probably as much as 10 years. But it must be extremely profitable over the long haul for people to go through the gory mess you have just read about. There is a much easier way to accomplish the creation of your own banking system, and the mechanism has been around for over 200 years. It is tried and true. It is called participating, i.e., dividend-paying whole life insurance. But the problem is that very few people know how the business actually works, including some people within the insurance carriers, the home office folks. Now, what Nelson is comparing is a traditional brick-and-mortar bank like a Wells Fargo or Bank of America, and how they take in deposits. Those deposits get loaned out. They profit, pay all their expenses. Some customers give them some interest on their big deposits, make the difference. They get a profit. They're a business. Insurance companies work virtually identically. They take in premiums just like deposits, got to put that money to work. All said and done, they need to carry a profit, but that profit is going to get dispersed on a pro rata basis to its owners. And with a mutual insurance company, i.e. dividend paying, you get to participate in those profits on a pro rata basis, and the snowball ensues. At this point, it'll help you understand what is meant by the word cogeneration. It is a term used in the production of electrical power. As most everyone knows, electrical power is produced in plants using fossil fuels, coal and petroleum products, nuclear fuels, or water to turn turbines. But there is another source of electrical power that is significant: the wood products plant, sawmills and paper mills. Trees are harvested for the wood they contain, but the bark on the outside of the tree and the sawdust from sawing lumber has little economic value. But they make a very good fire. This source of heat can do the same thing that fossil fuels do, to turn dynamos to produce electricity. Every sawmill of significant size and all paper mills have a cogeneration plant to make their own electricity. Imagine that you own a paper mill and that your cogeneration plant can produce 125% of your mill's need for electrical power. What do you do with the surplus power? The additional power. Yes, you can sell it, but do you erect power distribution lines, get a sales force, etc., and ask potential customers if they'd like to buy power from you instead of their customary power supplier that they already know and trust? Of course not. You understand how the power distribution systems all work and simply tie into the established system and sell them the power. It is much more efficient than trying to do it any other way. Creating your own banking system through the use of dividend-paying life insurance is much like cogeneration. All the ingredients are already there in place. All you have to do is understand what is going on in such insurance plans and tap into the system. What Nelson is suggesting is, just like we were just talking, how insurance carriers and companies work virtually identically to banks, and you can plug in to getting policies with these mutual insurance companies and start taking over some of that banking function within your life without having to actually capitalize, get a bank charter, and go through all the trouble of having a brick and mortar bank. Now, chapter 6, I'm just going to touch on in this highlighted blue section, okay? The very first principle that must be understood is that you finance everything that you buy. You either pay interest to someone else or you give up interest that you could have earned otherwise. The alternate use of money must always be reckoned with. Some call this opportunity cost. If you pay cash for a car or if you pay cash for real estate, yes, you don't have any debt owed to a third party, so you're not paying interest, but you're giving up the opportunity cost to earn interest on those dollars you could have paid elsewhere, and there are absolutely no exceptions. What infinite banking does is it allows you to put your cash into a pool of money, a pool of capital that is going to work for you in a tax preferential way, compounding at a very sustainable, predictable, fairly competitive rate, also solving for the death benefit in your life. And you're able to leverage or borrow against that pool of capital because you're also the owner, not just the customer, to then bank or finance your life. If you have any questions, you can reach out at Harper at LifeWithLeverage.com, or you can go to our website, LifeWithLeverage.com. Really looking forward to talking with you.